Welcome to your next lesson, where we'll look at strategies to add value to your property. Commercial property comes with the terrific advantage of adding value and increasing your overall returns. There are so many ways to value add. If you're checking out a property with a selling agent and you notice some ways to increase its value, definitely keep that information to yourself. Changing the property's use. A property can be repurposed in part or overall. This could involve converting an unused or common area space into lettable space or upgrading a storage area to office or industrial space. Increase net lettable area. If you can expand the property's net lettable area or NLA, then you receive more rent as the square footage has increased. Methods of increasing NLA include reconfiguring the floor plan or building a mezzanine floor. Create multiple tenancies. Breaking up the commercial property into smaller tenancies increases the price per square metre for rent and reduces vacancy risk. For example, a 1,000 square metre warehouse might rent for $100 per square metre, but 4 250 square metre warehouses might rent for $120 per square metre. Your value could be increased by 20% due to the higher rent per square metre. Raising or lowering rents. A simple way to add value would be to buy an under-rented property and then bump up the rent at the end of the lease term. For example, let's say a 500 square metre warehouse rents for $100,000 per annum, meaning the property is $200 per square metre. If the market rent is $240 per square metre, then the property is under-rented by 20%. If you have a plan and the means to get the rent back up to market level, your rental income will be 20% higher, which can increase the value of the commercial property by 20% as well. If you understand how to find properties that have rental upside, you can create equity quickly by increasing the income. Remember though, raising rents needs to be done on a case-by-case basis, as keeping a tenant and maintaining a low vacancy level is the goal. Improving the property's quality and image. Renovations such as refurbishing, painting, and landscaping can make a dramatic difference. This will normally allow higher rents and increase the property's yield and value, and generally keep your tenant there for longer. Sometimes these improvements will even be initiated by the tenant at no cost to the owner. Getting a stronger or longer lease. Having an appealing tenant or long lease can increase the property's value. The longer the lease, the greater the security. Creating new sources of revenue. Some examples include installing ATM machines, solar panels or charging stations, vending machines, renting out parking or storage space, taking on off-peak rentals, allowing advertising space, installing mobile phone towers and repeaters, and offering a serviced office. Adding or upgrading the property marketing. Additional marketing can boost rents and lower vacancies. This can be as simple as having better street signage, a website, or targeted advertising. This aims to increase demand for your location and in turn raise the rental rate. Removing underperforming tenants. This is particularly applicable in retail centres, where one underperforming tenant can reduce foot traffic, create competition for another tenant, or give rise to a poor culture in the centre. Improving property management. Good property management is essential. We discussed this in depth in a previous lesson, but keeping a good property manager will help secure a long-term tenant and reduce vacancy. Development. As with residential properties, it is possible to develop commercial properties. This could involve subdivision, expansion with new buildings, or adding an extra story to increase the value or cash flow. The best thing about commercial is there are so many ways to add value, and you can do more than one of the options we just talked about and try to get the most cash flow you can out of the property. Now time for an example. Adding telecommunications base stations. Let's have a look at a simple example of a creative addition to a commercial property. Here we have a corner fish and chip shop with a takeaway restaurant and residential apartment on top of the restaurant. The value add was adding telecommunication devices on top of the roof. Whilst a small rental concession would normally be provided to both the tenants because the eyesore on the roof, adding these devices could hugely increase your cash flow. So here we have a commercial property that's getting 3 different income streams. Of course, council permission must be sought for value add items such as this. Here's another example, solar power installations. Another example involves the installation of solar panels on an industrial building to reduce electricity costs. The system has been sized to eliminate the electricity bill. In this client's example, the electricity bill was in the owner's name, with the usage being on charge to the tenant at an agreed rate stipulated in the lease. In terms of the numbers, before the installation, the bill was $3,000 per year. And after the installation, there was actually a credit or refund of nearly $500, meaning there was a total saving of $3,500 per year. Another great point is there is potential to use this as a bargaining chip when negotiating a new lease or lease extension. For example, if you choose to extend or re-sign, you'll provide them with a 5% discount in year 1, but bump it up to 10% discount for years 2 and 3. Another example, adding a mezzanine area. Adding a mezzanine to an industrial building structure can increase the property value by increasing the available net lettable floor area. The tenants will benefit from the increased floor space and more flexible storage options, and the landlord will gain more square meterage, which can significantly increase rental profits. In this example, we have the initial warehouse size of 124 square meters. The net rent was $37,200 a year, which equals $300 per square meter. At a 6% cap rate, the property was valued at $620,000. The new mezzanine was 56 square meters and the cost was $80,000 to build. This means the new net lettable area of the property is 180 square meters. Our net rent is the initial $37,200 plus the new rent of $11,200, which was charged at 200 square meters for the mezzanine. You will find that mezzanine floors are generally charged at a lower square meter rate and they have more limited uses. For example, you can't store vehicles on them or they have certain weight limits. So our total net rent is $48,400. And if we again use the cap rate of 6, our property value is now worth $806,666. In summary, by spending $80,000, we have gained $11,200 a year in net rent, and the property's value has increased by $186,666. Of course, you do need to get council approval for this and ensure that a registered builder handles construction and everything is compliant. Sometimes adding a mezzanine means you need to have additional car spaces, so it's best to talk to a town planner before starting anything. If you have the right property, this is an excellent strategy to increase the income, which directly increases the value. These are just a few examples that my clients have used in their commercial properties. You must look at your own properties and determine which value strategies will actually work. If you're an active investor and looking to expand your portfolio quickly, then it's important not to set and forget. You need to always look for ways to improve your property's value. Call and ask a local town planner to see if there's been any change to the zoning, to the floor space ratio rules, or anything else that may affect the property. As mentioned previously, it's best to use an independent town planner as they're generally more experienced and are motivated to help you in the hope of receiving some future work from you. Quite often, a tenant may wish to improve the shop front's presentation or add an extra mezzanine area, but they don't have the money to do it. If you pay for the work and then charge extra rent to recoup the costs, you not only have a happy tenant, but a higher rent will also increase the value of the property. Thanks again for watching, guys, and see you next lesson.